Actually, just we had Nico Hurtado on the show last week, and I talked about this. We were talking about realism and some of the challenges that beginning like color realism or any realism kind of tattooers face whenever they're so dependent on photographs is that they like it looks almost like the tattoos are pork chopped together, like whenever they have to like it doesn't have a look of like the perspective is inconsistent, the light's inconsistent. And so I was thinking, is that something like if you've done the what was the piece with the jelly beans and stuff that was on the the gremlin with the jelly beans, and then the Chucky is like up and above it. Are you considering when you are laying out the gremlin, like, all right, the Chucky's already here, I'm looking straight on at Chucky, I gotta be looking down at gremlin?
No. I fucked up that leg so bad. So I wish I had a good answer for that. So the problem, so in theory, the best way to handle those things is to have it all prepared ahead of time.
Sure.
Before you even start tattooing anything on that leg, already know what that leg is going to get. That's the best way to go about it. Now, with me and my buddy that we did that piece on, we were just kind of throwing shit at the whim. Like, oh, this looks cool. We started tossing shit on, which ends up being kind of the nature of those sleeves, because that's usually what ends up happening is you end up having really weird gaps that just don't fit anything at all. Now, there you have to get a little clever with like how you merge one piece into another piece. Like with Gremlin's ear, we kind of like faded it behind the hair of the Crypt Keeper. And we kind of at least made it look like it was part of the same picture. You know, so it's like you got to do kind of like little trickeries like that. Find little places where you can turn one thing into another thing and try, kind of like transition it essentially into something else.
Like I always think about starting with kind of what is already existing. So if I'm working from here down and they have some crappy tattoo that's on their deltoid, like I at least pay attention to like the shape of that crappy tattoo. And I'm like, that's my starting point. I know that I've got a mark that comes this way. So I'm going to start with a mark that comes that way. And I'm going to start to like use that.
Like kind of use the S shapes in the body.
Yeah. Just try to at least not ignore what's already there.
Yeah. So ideally, like if you're going to be popping on pieces like that, like one by one, you got to kind of respect like body parts. Oh, the best way to assume it is always assume the client's going to get their whole body tattoo.
Yeah.
If you assume they're going to eventually get their entire body tattoo, which is more than likely they're probably not gonna. But if you assume they're gonna, and you kind of prep everything for it, like for example, whenever I do full sleeves, I don't go all the way down with the wrist. I always stop right above the bone. Because if the day ever comes you want to do your hand, I'd rather have the extra 2 inches of transition space. Now, it's rare that you're going to do your hand. And even when clients tell me, oh, I'm never going to do my hand, those are the same motherfuckers that end up getting their hand tattooed.
You know 2 months later.
Yeah, like right away. Like I'll put it this way. I've never done a half sleeve. Every half sleeve just becomes a full sleeve. So if you pretend that half sleeve will become a full sleeve eventually, you make sure you end it in a way where you have essentially like, where you kind of like get ready a zipper to eventually kind of meet up so that when that time comes, it doesn't look like an afterthought.
Yeah.